humans, and it's decided by one of the governments to, well, this is a good chance to get rid of all of our criminals. We'll throw, we'll get all the scientists and everything on there, but this is a good way to get rid of all our criminals. We'll just ship them off and we'll never have to see them again. Brilliant idea, and it sounds like something that would actually happen. What a nice solution. Instead of sending the cream of our crop, we'll send out these criminals, along with all the scientists. And you can guess what happened. Yep, the criminals end up overthrowing all the scientists and the government on the ship. The remaining people who managed to escape this kind of new government of criminals managed to go and stay with the octospiders and kind of live with them for most of the trip. And the criminals are unaware, of the octospiders. And the only place where humans can really get food is within their own habitat, because each alien is given their own habitat. So they can't really go far. And they weren't meant to be awake, so they have to really ration their food. And of course, the criminals want all the power and food, and you have to obey the criminals in order to get food at all. And eventually they do find out that there's octospiders, and they're like, well, we can go take their resources, as if the octospiders' food and resources were edible. They had no idea. So, but immediately it was, well, we can go take them over and kill them all. And so, a war ensues on this spaceship. And yeah, this is crazy. But they finally make it to they finally make it to the port, and most of the octospiders are wiped out except for a few that had survived with the other refugees from the criminals. Most of the humans manage to survive, and they make it to the port, and the aliens are like the automatons at the spaceport were like, what is this? Well, that's okay. We're gonna put all these people who are kind of harmonic here on this main space station, and we can transport them and whatnot. All these other people are going on to this other spaceship, and they're just going to remain here for the rest of their lives, and we will sterilize them. So in the end, the criminals didn't get to win out. They just stagnated on board this sterile spaceship, not being able to do anything with their lives. So it was kind of they ended up in prison anyway. So it turns out in the last book that they managed to reach the final destination. And by this time, the main character's like old. Because the travel time that was required to go back and forth from Earth was, I think it was like 15 years per trip at near speed of light. But when you approach the speed of light, time gets a little funky. And more time went through on Earth, but didn't mean they didn't age. So, especially when they had to stay awake through most of those years traveling because of all the criminals and whatnot. It was pretty harsh. So yeah, they go through, and basically they find out, well, because the main character is about to die, they show them the purpose of the ramen ships, which is to basically collect creatures from around the universe and see if there's some sort of harmony that could be reached. As if there was some grand designer at the beginning of the universe to see if creatures came to be harmonious with one another should they become spacefaring. And since humans had become spacefaring, they decided to send a ramen ship out and collect them. And they kind of missed on the first trip, but so they sent the second one. And so yeah, basically they were looking for harmony, within the whole entire universe. And since the criminals showed that there still is no harmony, totally, that this universe would end and the creatures would all die off. Anyway, so, it was kind of weird that way. I love that story. The characters were good and everything. I recommend it. Pick up the Rendezvous with Rama trilogy, plus the original book, and you will enjoy it. If you're into sci-fi. If not, don't pick it up. I forgot who wrote them. And it might have been John Varley. I can't remember the author now, but Sun is Rising, good. It was a book called Titan, Wizard, and Demon. It was a trilogy. It was about this strange ring that, almost like kind of space station. And I think this is where they got the idea for the game Halo, because this came out long before it. And they find it around like the rings of Saturn, just floating amongst all the ice crystals and rocks out there. And it's this ring with spokes and everything, but inside is a whole bunch of environments and stuff like that. I gotta read that again. That was a really good story. It was fascinating. And basically humans go in and they start inhabiting this ring. And they figure out there's like a kind of a central computer that controls all the environments, because it has deserts and jungles and swamps and oceans and everything in there. And they figured out that they can control the environments, and they could grow new types of life forms to their fitting. So there were centaurs and all this kind of stuff. And they figured out that they could also absorb themselves and regrow themselves wherever they want. And it was, and you know, eventually a war happened on this. Well, just like in Rendezvous with Rama, war is a central theme. But yeah, I gotta find and read that story again. I liked it. A volcano. Where am I, by the way? 66,000. I've been talking and talking about my science fiction, science exploits. That's fun. But yeah, I've had very little time to record, so I just figured I'd sit down for an hour or two and just record a whole bunch of million block walks. I'm like, before I got this drawing deadline, I was right in the middle of working on something to do for third shift, and I was working on mad science stuff. But hopefully this will all be over soon and I'll be back to full video making, and hopefully our living situation will work out. Right now it looks like we're going to re-sign the lease, so he's going to let us re-sign the lease. But now we've got to be able to make sure we can pay our rent and bills, and we'll be doing that. And yeah. Come on, I don't want any more cows. I want sheep. Give me sheep. I want to be able to sleep at night again. I don't want to have to bore people through a long night of me not sleeping. Are you a sheep? You better be a sheep. If you're not a sheep, I'm going to kill you. If you are a sheep, I'm going to kill you. Do I even have shears? I don't think I have shears anymore. Or maybe I never had them. Do I even have the iron for them? No, I only have one piece of iron. Anyway. Sheep. Cheap sheep. Let's put all this... I don't even want that. Okay, come here, sheepity 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 sheepity. Sheepity sheepity sheep 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 sheep. I'll close it in on 70,000, so that's like 10%. It's a long trip, folks. A couple things is I did not find any new mods. Not one that would increase the challenge. fact, when I went to go look at Contron's mod, I learned that he's no longer making this mod. So after this version is up, there'll be no more Contron's mobs. He claims that he has too many exams and stuff like that, which is fine. That could have been the total reason. But he went on to say that he believes Minecraft is dying off. And I don't necessarily think it's true in the broad sense. I think maybe the number of people playing right now is slowly declining, but there seems to still be a large audience and player base for it. And as long as they at least put small updates frequently and large updates, you know, mixed within, I think they can keep the player base interested in Minecraft. And that mod API needs to come out. Good, another volcano. 70,000. 7%. That's what we're going for. The last time I checked, this world was over 200 megs. So it's not even really that big. But I can hear my hard drive always chunking away as I go further and further. Hey, sheep.
You may well decide whether mankind is bettered or destroyed by the products of science.